Hello everyone, and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain. And today, sit a while, for we're playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. So we did pretty good last season overall. Maybe it got a little bit more exciting that I would have hoped for. I'm all for exciting hockey, but when you're the general manager, you can deal without the team falling apart in March just so that there's an exciting finish in April to make the playoffs. So I could have dealt without that. But all in all, once we got into the playoffs, I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. Of course, I mean, we didn't win the cup. If you're a fan and the only success you're going to judge your team for are Stanley Cups, you're probably going to think that I failed, and that's fair. That's how you view things. But for me, I made the playoffs for the first time in my team's history, and I managed to sweep the Eastern Conference champions in the first round, and then I pushed the second round to a seventh game that I lost horribly, but still, it was a pretty nice finish. So all in all, I'm not too disappointed with the season. I scored 20. So I only got points for a winning record and for making the playoffs. So that brings my total to a whopping 39 so far in my career, as we are about to start the 1999-2000 season. So as usual, I simmed all the way up to July 1st so that I can do my usual submitting offers and whatnot. And I kept the very few emails about things that have happened since. So that's what we're going to look at first. Then we're going to look at who I have offered a contract to. I have two prospects that reach 20 years old. So as you know, that's pretty much my rule of thumb, is that I wait for players to be 20 before I sign them. So we're getting Peter Shastlevy and Chris Neal as part of the organization. They've been signed. And then you're going to see that I am making three really savage offers. I don't want to fight for 8th place for too much longer. There's quite a few very, 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 very good young free agents on the market. It's a little bit unrealistic, to be honest. I wish that maybe they would tighten that a little bit in the back end of the game. We saw it a little bit the year before, where I submitted offers to guys like Marlowe and Yevgeny Nabokov. You're going to see some really good names again, and I'm not shy. I'm going to offer them contracts. They're there for the taking. I'm not going to let the Montreal Canadiens sign them. So, all right, so let's go ahead and take a look at those emails. So on June 28th, I got an email saying that Brian Smolinski in Toronto donated time and money to cancer research. So he is now a better person. Then there's been a small trade between LA and Nashville, with LA sending Kai Nurminen to Nashville, and the Kings are getting former Ottawa Senator Guy Hebert. So Hebert is now a part of the Kings. We've had a few retirements of note. So one of them is Brian Bradley in Tampa Bay, retires at age 34. He had a 21-point season last year, so I guess he was on the decline. Probably a good time to retire. Dale Hawerchuk in Buffalo decided to retire as well at age 36. He was a 2-star player now. And he had a 55-point season last year, so I guess he decided to retire while he was still, putting up decent stats. And then Gary Suter also retired in Calgary. He's 35. He was a 2-star player anymore. He had a 38-point season, so still okay, but Gary Suter was able of a lot more when he was younger. And the Flames are going to retire his number 20. And we have a new team coming, so we are going to have to protect some players. So John Ferguson was picked to be the GM of the Atlanta Thrashers. And they picked Joel Quenneville to be their coach. So they're picking a pretty good coach. I don't know how good he is in the game just yet. Oh, he's good already. All right. So, yeah. They picked a pretty good coach, so at least they might not be very good, but they're going to be well coached. And then, as part of who the Sens really signed in real life and whatnot, I have Eric Goldman and Martin Prusek that are joining the team. I am not expecting either of them to really do anything. Goldman is a defenseman that has an alpha star potential, and Martin Prusek has a 1-star potential. So unless I am riddled by injuries, I'm probably not going to be playing them very much. So now let's go ahead. Now let's go ahead and take a look at who I made offers to. So am I gaming the system? Maybe. I don't know. One of them is a player that did play in Ottawa for a while, and I was almost as equally sad to see him go as I was Marian Osa. So here they are. So as I said, Peter Sheslivy and Chris Neal are getting their rookie contract offers, and I made offers to Zdeno Chara, Pavel Datsyuk, and Joe Thornton. So, yeah, there's that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sign them all. I am hoping I can. But when I said that I was being a little savage again on the free agent market, that's what I meant. So, of course, they're all pretty young. I think the oldest is Shara. He's 22, Datsyuk is 20, and Thornton is 19. So they're not fully developed yet and everything. But yeah, don't forget I also have Patrick Marleau in the pipelines and Marian Osa and Daniel Alfredson. So you can see that I'm starting to shape up my team. I'm getting, I really hope I can get Thornton and that he can move back to center. Joe Nieuwendyk is getting older. He's still pretty good, but by the time that Nieuwendyk is going to be ready to retire, is going to be just about right with when Joe Thornton's going to hit his stride. At least I'm hoping. That's my plan, at least. So I have that. Datsyuk, I don't mind if he stays on the wing, to be honest. Left wing has always been kind of a weakness for my team. And Chara, of course, is Zdeno Chara, so there's not a lot more that can be said about that. I mean, he's still playing today, so... All right, so let's advance that. Let's see, when is the... I'm gonna need to protect players eventually for the draft. All right, so we have to go through this again where I choose who I am going to protect and who I am going to expose. So I have a decision to make. Do I want to protect St. Thomas or do I want to protect Mike Dunham? I have a feeling that regardless of who I protect, the other one's going to get picked. And Dunham is a lot better right now than St. Thomas is. I want to protect both. I can't. I'm going to go with Dunham. I mean, there's no clear better decision here, I don't think. Thomas is a little bit younger, but he's not as developed. And if Dunham gets picked and I have Sim Thomas and Kirk McLean in net, I'm not feeling too confident with that. Alright, I'm going to protect 5 D-Man. We're going to go ahead and protect Brian Berard. We're going to protect Brian McCabe. We're going to protect... Zvela's been pretty good for us. I'm going to protect Zvela. Kelly Johansson is slowing down, maybe not in statistics, but he's only a 2-star player now. Alright, so that's 3. I'm going to protect Chris Phillips. Hammerdick has really not been that great. I'm going to expose him. So it's going to be between Sheldon Sorry and Sammy Salo. I'm gonna protect Sheldon Sorry. Alright, so I am exposing some decent defensemen there. I mean, Norm McIver, I'm not protecting. I'm not protecting Kelly Johansson. That's been with us for a while, and he's been good for us, but he's starting to get older. It's time to move on. And then 9 forwards. That's probably not going to be too hard. Maybe. Alright, so I am protecting Joe Nieuwendyk for sure. That's one. Oh, I don't have to protect Marianosa. That's great. Alright, I want to protect Yashin as well. Peltonen's been pretty good. We're gonna protect him. Gonna protect Tomas Holmstrom. Alright, 4 more. Sillinger 1, Matt Cullen 2, Bill Guerin 3, Dackel has really not done much last year. Do I protect Arvidsson or Dackel? Dackel is 26, Arvidsson is 27. A little bit more of a weakness at left wing. Or maybe Rob Niedermeyer that I just got in a trade. Thing is with Rob Niedermeyer is that if he stays at center, I already have Matt Cullen and Mike Sillinger that play kind of a defensive forward type of game. Andreas Dackel. They're very similar. It's very difficult to decide who I'm going to go with. I'm going to protect Dackel, I think. I'm going to protect Arvidsson. There you go. So this is who I'm protecting for the draft. So I'm protecting Dunham, Berard, McCabe, Phillips, Sorey, Zvela, Arvidsson, Holmstrom, Peltonen, Matt Cullen, Joe Nieuwendyk, Mike Sillinger, Alexei Yashin, Daniel Alfredson, and Bill Guerin. I guess we are about to find out if that was the right choice. I'm not going to ask the assistant. He's probably going to tell me to keep absolutely Ray Schultz or something. Alright, it is the draft. Oh, Zdeno Chara signed with us. That makes me happy. I was kind of sad when he left, too. Although I will say at the time, there was like that thing where people were like, well, it was between Zdeno Chara and Wade Redden, and the Sens chose to keep Wade Redden. It was a little bit more complicated than that. There was a situation with how Ottawa ended Osa, and Chara didn't like it. So I'm not going to make that mistake. So you can stay a Sen forever if you want. Alright. Pavel Datsyuk. Oh, Pavel Datsyuk signed as well. Look at that. I'm adding raw talent just like that. And I signed Joe Thornton as well. Ooh. Atlanta made a splash on the free agency. Before they even drafted, they signed Curtis Joseph, so they're gonna have Cujo in it. Wow. What is going on in St. Louis? They already didn't have a very good season. Maybe that's why Cujo didn't sign. Maybe he didn't want to stay there. That is crazy. Cujo is going to be an Atlanta Trasher. Alright, Chris Simon is the yearly guy upset at his agent for a lack of a deal. Alright, and Joe Thornton is going to need a different number than 19 because Ike Yashin has that one. What would be a good number for Jumbo Joe? He's had 19 his entire career. Well, he did have number 6 when he started, I think, with Boston. Was that 6 that he had? Let's give him 9. There you go. Joe Thornton, you're having number 9. I know you're upset, buddy, but you're young, you don't have your big beard yet, you're not scaring me. Alright, and the 2 guys that I have left to sign are the 2 rookies, so they're going to sign. I'm not too afraid about that. Alright, so let's see who we lose in this particular expansion draft. And I know I go slow for those. I like to see who gets picked, so I don't just sim it and move on. I like to see what they do. Alright, so they got themselves Tommy Salo from Buffalo. Manny Fernandez from Boston. So they're going to have some pretty decent goaltending. Actually, probably better than ours. Oh, they picked Jose Theodore in Montreal. Of course, Montreal still has Patrick Roy, so they had to protect him. We lost Kelly Johansson. I'm a little sad about that. I did like Kelly Johansson on the Ottawa Senators, but I couldn't really justify protecting him. I have a lot of young defensemen, and I have Zdeno Chara that's going to take his spot, so... Oh well, thank you for your good services, Kelly Johansson. You really helped us shape our D for real. Yanni Lakanen from the Kings has been picked. Played in Ottawa in real life. I liked him. Sylvain Lefebvre in Toronto was picked, so a mix of older and younger players so far. Valery Kamensky in Colorado was picked. So another older player. Francisek Kucera in Florida was picked. Another older player. Adam Graves with the Oilers was picked. Another player above 30. Doug Brown in Carolina was picked. 35 years old. So they are going for experience. Oh, Peter Nedved in Vancouver was selected. So Nedved is going to be an Atlanta Trasher, age 27. Decent pick, I would say. Jeff Finlay in Nashville was selected, 32 years old. Sami Kapanen in New Jersey was selected, 26. Decent level player. Jani Ojanen in St. Louis, 31. Chris Gratton in Tampa Bay, 23 years old. Marcus Ragnarsson in Philadelphia, 27. So, okay, they're going with a few younger players now. Looks like they're going to try to have a little bit of a mix. Of course, there's probably not a lot of 20 years old that are available, but Krivo Krasov in San Jose, 25. Bob Corcom with the Islanders, 31. Derek Armstrong in Dallas, 26. Marek Malik in Detroit, 24. Ed Olchuk in Phoenix, 32. Brad Bombardier in New York Rangers, 27. Matthias Johansson with Pittsburgh, 25 years old. Murray Barron in Washington, 32. Marc Bureau in Chicago, 33. And finally, Sammy Elenius in Calgary, 25 years old. Alright, so we lost Kelly Johansson. We did gain. Zdeno Chara. All right. I'm not sure how we're gonna look like, but all right. Now we are going to move a little bit. We are going to move a little bit faster now that that's past us. Those players are trying to get used to the team. That is fine. Alright, Peter Chesley contract signed. And he wants a number. 39 seems fine for you, sir. Alright, Chris Neil signed. Yeah, sorry Chris Neil, you're not taking Joe Nieuwendyke's number. So you're going to start your career with number 26. And I might give you 25 later on. Oh, Cam Neely attends leadership seminar. Of course, Cam Neely still hasn't retired in my universe. He hasn't had those knee injuries. So, ooh, he only had 37 points last year. So he's still playing, but he's not playing all that great. Chris Simon signs with new agent, and he's happy. Happy Chris Simon. Not a lot going on. Not a lot going on. Not a lot of trades or anything like that. Still can't believe that Atlanta made that big of a splash to start. I guess the timing was just right for them to get a great goaltender to start their legacy. Dan Kessa and Tom Kostopoulos pitch in at local homeless shelter. They are both playing in Pittsburgh. Better people. Alright, so... And of course now one of our rookies that showed up, he's only 18, so I'm not signing him, is Martin Havlat. So that's another good player that's coming. So... Nice. Michel Goulet was put in the Hall of Fame. Inducted was the word I was looking for. So is Ken Udge, Brian Propp as well, and Mark Howe. Alright, my players are getting used to the team. Frederick Lawson hosts a charity golf tournament in Calgary, so he is a better person. Unless he ran away with the proceedings, then he's an ass. I don't think he would do that, though. Daryl Shannon in Nashville endows scholarships at Hometown College. Another better person. Why can't it happen to our players? I want for my guys to be nice guys. Alright, barbecue too hot to handle for Jean-Guy Trudel with the Phoenix Coyotes. So, That's what happens when you're not used to use a barbecue, sir. And we have a trade proposal from the New York Rangers, who probably want to trade me Brian Leach for peanuts. No, they want to trade me Dale Purinton for Ray Schultz. I'm probably going to say no. Dale Purinton was a straight-up face puncher, so no, not interested. Ooh, trade proposal from the Buffalo Sabres. Andrew Peters, they are offering me another face puncher for Ivan Ciernik. I'm gonna say no. If I already have a face puncher, I have Chris Neal. A decent one too. Maybe he didn't win all of his fights, but he wouldn't back out of any fight against anybody, except in the playoffs at one time when he turtled. But that was strategic to give the team a major power play, and that worked. Who did he turtle against? Was it Gordy Dwyer, I think. I believe it was. The only time in my life I've seen Chris Neal back out of a fight. Alright, getting a pretty decent development report, and we are going to get another one at the start of training camp. Oh, Chris Bela is don't forget about me, I exist, and I'm getting a whole bunch of stats here. Wow. Alright, Joni Wendyke lost some shot blocking. I can live with that. Norm McIver is... yeah, he's still a 2-star player, but he's starting to not be as good anymore. Alright, so September is here, which means that in 16 days we start our preseason calendar against the Florida Panthers. Amazing off-season workout regimen for Ethan Morrow. So Ethan Morrow with Chicago got himself some nice stat boosts. Oh, there's been a trade between the Phoenix Coyotes and the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, with Frederick Chabot and Eric Wistrom going to Anaheim, and Ruslan Saleh and Mike Minard going to Phoenix. So Saleh is probably the best player in that trade. So I would say that Phoenix won that trade. Anaheim doesn't need to make themselves worse. Alright. Just looking at, well, not really looking, but just going through scouting reports. I apologize. Those are a little annoying, especially when you get one a day or every other day. Alright, so in 2 days we are playing our first preseason game against the Florida Panthers, which, as you know, it means that I am going to have to recall everybody. So another a little bit of a tedious task. Alright. Oh, Prusek is already up. Shara should already be up, not Berard. Okay, he's up. Mark Morrow. Come play some preseason games. Yeah, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. A mass select here would be quite needed. Would also be nice if the computer teams would be playing all of their players and not just their best lineup. That's not super realistic to how it happens. I understand though the devs probably have a bunch of other stuff that they want to work on, and I can understand that maybe it's not a priority, but it definitely should be on the list to be done at one point. Chris Bailey and his crazy good training camp where he got a whole bunch of stats at the start of the month. Now it's time for him to come and show us what he can do in preseason. Your Nick shouldn't be up. There you go. Chris Neal, come bang some buddies. Oh, you're already here. Alright, I think everybody's here. Now I'm gonna need to do the numbers. Alright, training camp report is usually also a pretty good one. So I'm seeing a lot of good players getting a lot of pluses, and I like that. Oh, Chris Neal is getting quite a few +2s. Alright, now we have to go through this. Alright, Brian Berard wants a number. Here, you can have number 5. Number 9, Brad Larson. Nah, Joe Thornton as number 9. You can have number 42. Damian Rhodes would like to have number 1, but Kirk McLean has it. 35 is a goaltender number. Mark Morrow would like number 3, but it's already taken by Mike Ratchie. Here, number 60. Tim Thomas would like number 34. I am going to give him number 32. Ray Schultz would like number 39, but I gave it to Peter Shesley already, so you can have number, I don't know, 71. There you go. Alright, you can have number 8 even though it's retired. Alright, so Chris Phillips absolutely wanted number 6, which is weird because Chris Phillips wore number 88 and number 4. As far as I know, he never wore number 6. I could be wrong, though. Alright. So we are in Florida. We are ready to play the Panthers. You know the drill. I'm going to look at our opponents and see if they made a lot of changes to their lineups. So John Graham and John Van Beesbroek in net. So Van Beesbroek's still a 3-star goaltender. He's 36, so still doing pretty good there. Bancroft, Tarnquist, Kenny Janssen, Bill Older, Philip Kuba, Steve Steos, Allen, Dallas, Dykhouse, Gilbert Dion, Durden. Rookie of the Year, Sergei Samsonov. They at least have that going on, I guess. Peter Worrell, another face puncher. Herkus Lindgren, Jamal Mayers, Serge Payet. Ugh. That team is not very good. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yeah, you know your team is doing pretty good when Bill Guerin is on your fourth line. All right, let's play this preseason game against the Panthers. Oh, I guess it's the year that the Senators introduced that different looking logo that not everybody's a fan of. So we're going with Mike Dunham facing John Van Beesbrook. And we won 1-0. Let's start slow, but with a W. We outshot Florida 36-25 in that game. And Brian Berard was the first star. He had an assist. Carl Dykhouse for Florida was the second star, despite not getting any points. And Sheldon Surrey was the third star. He scored a goal. And the only goal of the game was scored by Sheldon Surrey, short-handed from Alfredson and Brian Berard, while Zdeno Chara was in the box. Look at us. Shutout victory. Those scouting reports are pouring in. It's like they can't just come in all together. Alright, we are playing at home against the Phoenix Coyotes, who probably still have Teemu Selanne as their best player. They sure do. With Nikolai Abibul in the net, Patrick Desrochers as the backup, Phil Housley, Radoslav. Was it Radoslav Suchi? Yeah, Radoslav Suchi, Boris Mironov, Ruslan Saleh, Darren Quint, Jason Doig, Teppo Numinen, Mika Alatalo, Shane Doan, Johan Garpenlov, Brad Isbister, Keith Kitchuk, Jean-Guy Trudel, who cannot cook hamburgers on the barbecue, Chris Draper, Marc Chouinard, Steve Goulet, Alexis Zamnov, Stu Barnes, Daniel Briere, Trevor Letowski, and Teemu Selanne. It's almost all or nothing with them. I mean, if you just look at that, like they have a whole bunch of 3-star players and, you know, and whatnot, and then 1-star player is alpha star player. So I guess we could say they are top heavy. Like they have a decent top of the lineup, but their bottom 6 is probably not too good. And they're going with Patrick Desrochers in net. We're going with Mike Dunham again. Why not? He had a shutout. And it's a tie, 4-4. Let's go ahead and see who was good for us. They outshot us 45-41. Thomas Holmstrom was the first star for us. He had 2 assists. Keith Kitchuk had 3 assists for Phoenix. He was the second star. And Johnny Wendyke was the third star with 2 goals. Alright, so Phoenix scored in the first. They took a 1-0 lead. And then they took a 3-0 lead in the second. And then we tied it before the end of the period. So Nieuwendyk scored from Patrick Marleau and Mathieu Dandonneau. Then Brian McCabe from Alexei Yashin and Thomas Holmstrom. Joe Nieuwendyk from Andreas Daikel and Thomas Holmstrom. So, like I said, we were tied at 3. We traded goals in the third period. Alfredson scored from Marc Moreau and Marian Osa. And then Teemu Selanne tied it with 54 seconds to go in the game to bring it to overtime. Now we are playing in Carolina. All right. Let's take a look at Carolina. See what they have now. So they still have Sean Burke in net, Mika Noronen as the backup, Chris Pronger, Hans Janssen, Brian Marchment, Rich Pilon, Tommy Shodin, Francis Bouillon. Those are all the D. They are all listed as left D. Of course, some of them are going to play on the right side. Pavel Demitra, that we traded to them eons ago. Craig Adams, Jeff Sanderson, Vladimir Wojcik, Andrew Castles, Greg Johnson, Mikael Nylander, Craig McDonald, Vlastimil, I think it's Vlastimil Karpov. Valery Karpov, I got that wrong. It happens. Grant Marshall, Jeff O'Neill, Pat Verbeek, Dixon Ward, Tommy Westlund, and Aaron Asham. So, decent team with a few holes. Feel like they're going to be slowing down. They did finish third in the East, but that was mostly because of how, not because of their record, it's because of how the standings are made. Alright, we're going with Tim Thomas, and we're facing Mika Noronen. And it's another 4-4 tie. That's okay, it's not counting. I don't really care right now. We outshot them 29-22. Oh, I forgot to check how many people we had in the stands for the home game we played. Mikael Nylander was the first star. He had a goal. Bill Guerin for us was the second star with 2 goals. And Tommy Shodin, former Ottawa Senator, with 2 assists, was the third star. So we traded goals in the first. Carolina scored first. Then Bill Guerin scored from Norm McCaver and Vili Peltonen. So it was 1-1 after 1. Then Carolina scored. We scored. It was Bill Guerin on the power play from Yashin and Alfredson. And then Carolina scored again. They were up 3-2 after 2. And then they took a 4-2 lead, but Joe Nieuwendyk scored, assisted by McIver, and then Robert Zvela from Matt Cullen and Joe Thornton. So we were tied at 4, and it stayed that way. Oh, Joe Sakic hurt again, although it's just a day-to-day injury. He's going to be out for 8 days, so probably going to be ready for the start of the season. Yeah, we're playing at home against Boston. I'm going to need to check the attendance at this point. Let's see. There's been a trade between the Red Wings and the Panthers. Jason Cullimore is going to the Panthers for Juha Ylonen. So the Panthers traded one of their very few talented forwards, and when I say talented, I'm using the word very lightly, to get some help on D. All right, playing Boston. How do you feel that I took Joe Thornton away after you took Nabokov from under my nose? I feel pretty good about it. All right, so they have Nabokov and Tomas Vokun in net. They are set in net for a while. Nabokov is 24 and Vokun is 23. Those are 2 good goaltenders. The goaltending position in Boston is set, as long as they don't trade them or anything like that. Peter Aola, Sandy Lynch, Don Sweeney, Ray Bort, Craig Rivet, Jason York on D, so that's a decent D. Stumpel, Donato, Dave Laurie, Kent Manderville, Todd Warner, Joey Juno, Adam Oates, Keith Primo, Mike Ritchie, Joel Perpich, Cherkowski, Nelson Emerson, Glenn Murray, Cam Neely, and Mark Mowers, who's injured up front. So they have a decent team. Definitely can give us some problems. We have a lot of potential, but we're young for the most part. Our players are not all up to maturity yet. We're going back to Mike Dunham. We're facing Yevgeny Nabokov. We're playing at home. And we lost 4-0. I did say that they could give us some problems. We were outshot 45-25 in that game. There were 8,655 people in attendance. It's preseason. I don't know if it plays in the balance or not. I'll have to check those numbers back up when we start the real season. Hopefully they're up a little bit. We just went to the playoffs. Fan interest should be there. I just signed a bunch of exciting young players too. So where are my fans? Do I have any? I mean, at this point, I guess I can ask myself those questions. Adam Oates was the first star of this game. He had a goal and 2 assists. And this Ozalinch was the second star with 3 assists. And Glenn Murray, third star with 2 goals and an assist. We didn't score any goals, so I'm not going to look into that too much. Ivan Ciernik improves at center. Well, that's mighty fine for you, sir. Alright, now we're flying in Vancouver for a game against the Canucks. We have 3 preseason games left, including this one. All right, so Vancouver, who do you have in net? Not Kirk McLean, Garth Snow, and Alfie Michaud. I cannot say that I have heard of that guy before. Maybe that's why he's only an alpha star. I mean, there are some players I've never heard of. That's okay. I really haven't heard of this guy before. Kevin Otter, Chris McAlpine, Brent Sopel, Matthias Olun, and Brian Allen on D. Okay. With Nolan Baumgartner, Jurki Lume, and Yaroslav Spacek. Okay, that D is alright. Maybe not the best, but they do have Matthias Olun in there, Jurki Lume. Spacek is getting into his own and everything, so I can respect that D enough. If I don't, Nolan Baumgartner is going to make me respect it. That's okay. Bates, Battaglia, Jeff Courtnall, Robert Cron, J. Pandolfo, Steve Carrier, Polizer, Bart, Peter Schiffer, Trevor Linden, Mike Pekka, Cliff Running, Artem Shubarov, Pavel Bure, and Radek Dvorak up front. So the goaltending is not quite there. The rest of the team is alright. So maybe a little bit of weak goaltenders in Vancouver, and the unknown to me, Alfie Michaud, is going to be starting in net. He's going to face Tim Thomas. And I lost 6-3. So Alfie Michaud with a really good performance there because we outshot them 50-23. So because I don't know him doesn't mean he can't be good. Pavel Bure was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Yaroslav Spacek, 2 goals, was the second star. And Matthias Olun, third star with 2 assists. So they took a 3-0 lead after one, 4-0 lead in the second. Then we scored. Sheldon Surrey assisted by Joe Thornton and Mike Sillinger. And then they scored again. So they were up 5-1 after 2. That game was pretty much over at that point. Brad Larson scored from Matt Cullen and Joe Thornton, and then Pavel Datsyuk on the power play from Thornton and Yashin. And then they scored in an empty net, and that was 6-3, and we lost. Again, it's preseason. I don't mind too much. We're going to need to fix that when the season starts, though. Alright, 2 preseason games left. Next one at home against Dallas. Oh, there's been a trade. Frederico Lawson has been traded again. Oh, the Octopus. Al Gill's been traded. Ha. Alright, so Calgary sent Frederico Lawson and Jonas Frogren to St. Louis for Al Gill and Doug Huda. Okay. Yeah, Doug Uda's pretty much done in his career. He's only an Alpha Star player anymore. He's 33. And then Frederico Lawson is pretty good still. Well, 2 stars. And Al Gill is 24. So, hard to say who's got the best in that trade. Like, Lawson and Gill are probably as opposite type of defenseman as you can find. Well, maybe not as... But, you know, they're very different type of players. Playing Dallas at home, we have... Well, they have a few injuries, huh? Alright, so they still have Lamotte in net and Marty Turco. So, at least they've got Turco. He needs to develop, so... Patrick Boileau, Mike Crawley, Peter Buzek, Dave Manson, Rick Jackman, Adam Burt, Nemisnikov, Blake Sloan, Anderson, Corbett, Dallin, John Sim, Craig Darby, Johnson, Modano, Smith, Iginla, Courtnall, Klatt, Lettinen, and Troy Mallet. That D is not good. Those goaltenders, not good. Turco is not developed yet. He's only a 1-star player. Their forwards are okay, so... Yeah, it's all about the forwards in Dallas. Marc Lamotte in net for them. We're going with Mike Dunham. And we lost 5-3. Should I be concerned about our slightly bad preseason? 9,383 people in attendance. Again, I'm not going to be worried about it too much until the season starts. Even then, if I worry about it, there's I found out there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. I did everything I can. I got good players. I've made the playoffs. I mean, at this point, short of offering money to people to come to games, I've done pretty much everything. They outshot us 37-26. Adam Burt was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Yashin for us was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Jerome McGinley, third star with a goal. So the Stars took a 3-0 lead in the first, and the game was pretty much over then. And then we have Peltonen that scored from Yashin, and then Yashin from Peltonen. That made the game 3-2, but then Dallas would score twice more in the second. And it was 5-2, and then finally Brian McCabe scored, assisted by Sheldon Sorry and Joe Nieuwendyk, and we lost 5-3. And finally, the last game of preseason is going to be in Toronto. So now don't forget, I've mentioned it in the past, but Toronto now is in the East, so they're just not very good, or at least last year they weren't. So I'm not sure that we're going to have a rivalry with them or not. We can definitely take a quick look and see. So Wendell Clark is, wow, that's 3 seasons in a row, man. You need to lay off the poutine. That's crazy. Dmitry Mironov is hurt. And then they have Eric Fichaud and Jean-Sébastien Giguère in net. So Giguère is going to get pretty good. He's a 2-star goaltender now, so he's okay to go for this year. Scott Lachance on D, Richard Matvichuk, Bryce Salvador, Thomas Caberly, Jean-Jacques Daigneault, Mironov, who's hurt, Daniel Markov, and Yannick Tremblay. So their D is starting to shape up a little bit. It's, I would say, average. It's not bad. It's not great. They have a few players that are still developing, so that's an okay D. Clark, I don't know what. I always say we're such a professional. Wendell Clark, I always kind of liked him. Guess not. Frederick Modine, Prospol, Tim Taylor, Doug Gilmore, Todd Marchand, Yannick Perrault, Brian Smolitsky, Nick Antropov, Alexander Degg going to play for our rivals in Toronto. Martin Gélina, Alex Hicks, and Chris Simon. So, average offense as well. I mean, their best player up front is Doug Gilmore, and he's 36. So they have an average team all across. They don't have any great players. Their team is average everywhere. We're playing Tim Thomas. They are playing Eric Fichaud, last preseason game. And we won 5-1. We outshot them 38-31. Joe Nieuwendyk was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Thomas Holmstrom was the second star with an assist. And Brian Berard, playing for Ottawa, not Toronto, with an assist, was a third star. So we took a 3-1 lead into the first period. Vili Peltonen from Bill Guerin and Matt Cullen. Bill Guerin on the power play from Zvela Nieuwendyk. And then Nieuwendyk from Brian Berard. And then look who scored for Toronto in the first period. Alexander Degg scored the lone goal for Toronto. In the second period, Zvela scored from Holmstrom and Joe Nieuwendyk. And finally, Yashin in the third from Zdeno Chara and Brad Larson. Oh, Tim Thomas to take 13 days to recover from shoulder subluxation. What's that word? So I wanted to start Tim Thomas in the NHL, but I guess he's going to start on the injured reserve instead. And I'm probably going to have to go with Kirk McLean as the backup for Dunham to start the season. That's all stuff I'm going to take a look at off screen as usual. When we start next video, I'm gonna have my lineup all set. So that's pretty much where we are for now. So we signed some incredibly talented young free agents that probably shouldn't have gone unsigned, but they haven't been unsigned for long. I took care of that. So the future looks bright in Ottawa, I would say. At least I think it does. I think I did pretty good. So I am going to end the video here. So as usual, thank you for tuning in. If you've liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. That's always appreciated. And until I roll this game again, see you guys next time. Thank you.